So yeah, let's welcome everybody out today to episode 54 of Utah in the Weeds. My name's Chris Holifield.
And I'm Tim Pickett, a medical cannabis expert in Utah and a provider here. And today's episode
I am so excited.
We were
to
waiting
play
for this for a while, right?
Yeah, this is with Carlos Lopez. This is a patient here, Utah cannabis patient here in Utah. This guy, he's the biggest advocate, man.
He's the number one member of the Utah Cannabis Fan Club.
Yeah.
Right.
But in a good way. I mean, good way.
He really is.
Yeah. This is a good, this guy's got such a great story. I was so excited to have him on the show and share it. Just listen to this conversation, and
this was one of my favorite conversations. He has a really, really good story. Talking about.
I don't want to give too many spoilers.
I know, right? Talking about his injury and like how that
affected,
and then how he got back into cannabis, or how he got into cannabis in the first place.
Yeah,
it's fascinating. Okay, so a couple of housekeeping things.
420 is coming up on.
420 is coming up next Tuesday.
So depending on when you're listening to this comes out the Friday before 420. So if you're listening to this before 420, we got some events.
Yes, that's right. So one event that I'll mention is a patient drive that we're doing in partnership with EDM Cannabis Shop, CBD Shop on 7100 South and State Street. If you want an appointment for this, it's going to be like food trucks and music, and there's a pretty steep discount. This is not a listed event online. You've got to call their shop to get an appointment. EDM Cannabis Shop, 7100 South and State. Check that out if you want to, if you really feel like you need to get in for a card evaluation, you can do that. And then the
big events at Dragonfly.
Dragonfly.
And they actually posted something on Instagram here. I don't know if you wanted to mention it, Tim, or I can just kind of even read the little flyer here. It just says Utah Cannafest. It's a community event featuring Utah cannabis industry leaders, local artisan booths, food trucks, 420 deals, raffles, and giveaways. And then they're going to introduce the Utah Patient Subsidy Program, brought to you by the Utah Patients Coalition. That's Mario's group, isn't it?
Well, it's Desiree Hennessy.
Desiree Hennessy,
yep, Desiree Hennessy runs that group. She's going to announce that program in partnership with, and there's more than Dragonfly involved in the subsidy program than just Dragonfly, but they are definitely the biggest, right? Sponsor the opening of the event. We're going to give away a couple of free visits in the raffle, some free evaluations. There's going to be some other really good gifts. So, come down.
And we want to be recording some with the podcast. So if you see Tim or I, and you want to say a few words, say, hey, I'd love to say a few words on the podcast, and then that way we can record with you, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know exactly what we'll be doing with the podcast, but I have a few ideas.
Yeah, I don't know what time we'll be recording, but I'll be there most all of the day.
It says it's 11 to 7, and they're right downtown, 711 South State Street, right across from Sapa, and if you know where that is, the old Sears building downtown.
Yeah, that's going to be an exciting event. And then I think all of the pharmacies have discount programs, surrounding 420, kind of the cannabis holiday, right? Cannabis Christmas.
Cannabis Christmas. But anything else going on with UtahMarijuana.org that you want to discuss,
we're going to open up, we could just mention it. We're going to open up our Provo location for evaluations starting May 1st again. So Utah County will have, just more access down there. All kinds of fun things going on. Just stay tuned to the podcast.
And UtahMarijuana.org is Instagram to go follow you guys over there and see what you guys got going on. UtahMarijuana.org/podcast. Go there. We got 53 other episodes up there, so I know it's a lot, but it's some good content up there. You can learn a lot about the program here in Utah. You can learn a lot about the people here, but there's a lot of good information there. So yeah,
it's a great place to go. I really, I'm excited for people to listen to this.
Yeah, Carlos Lopez. Let's get into this one. Let's, like I said, he's a cannabis patient here in Utah. He's got a great story about some different pain issues that he had to deal with, and how cannabis has really helped him take the bull by the horn, so to say, and take life on. So, anyways, let's get into that conversation. Here we go. Your first time you used cannabis, how you got introduced to it. Let's go back there for you.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. I'm a 90s kid, born in 88. Oh. So the first time I was introduced, I'm just say no era. I grew up in grade school in DARE program. They embedded that in my head,
Yeah.
I did that
Yeah, I
before I
remember.
started class. I did that, like, there was an after program. You did that, like, almost on a daily. Like, and I got the T-shirt with the lion, like, graduated.
I remember the T-shirt. The Dare T-shirt.
And, you know, for some kids, it probably, you know, was whatever. But I was only in 4th, 5th grade, you know, it stuck. And so in my head, I'm thinking, this is an evil weed, like, the government, like, is saying, like, the whole reefer madness, like, that was in my head, you know, like, it was a mental thing, you know. I was like, no, stay away. Smoking's bad.
So, of course, you believed it, right?
I believed it, right.
They
It was
told you.
as an adolescent, right. And so growing up, middle school, high school goes along, I stayed away from it. I was like, I hung around with kids that did it. I just, don't do nothing for me. That was my cop-out. It don't do nothing for me. I was like,
Did you grow up here in Utah?
yeah, I grew up right here in West Valley, Kearns.
Okay, so that's why I was kind of curious, the area. That makes, I mean, Utah, I could imagine Utah.
Yeah, but that's an
especially.
interesting way to put it, right? It doesn't do anything for me.
That was like my
That's your
cop-out.
go-to, right?
That was like my
I
way
remember.
of like, instead of just saying no, because their program was like, just say no. And that worked too. But other
No,
times
but that doesn't work in some of these, like, these kids have, it's a little bit of peer pressure, and it's not like direct pressure. It's
Right.
It's like you want to fit in,
Right.
You want to be part of the group,
Definitely.
and that's an interesting way to do it. I haven't heard that,
So that's,
but I remember kids in high school and college like saying that to me, and now I've got to go back and think, was that just you not wanting to do it?
No, that was like just from being young and remembering my program and like just sticking to it. You know, I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was doing the right thing and doing good in school. And so, right, school goes along, and it wasn't until it was at the end of my junior going to senior year, I had an accident. I was shot in the face with a CO2 pistol, and the BB penetrated like my left eye socket, and it rolled behind my left eye. And it rested there. And so it wasn't until my mom took me like a week later from when the swelling went down to take x-rays that we saw a little dot in my skull. And like the doctor was like, there's a BB in there. We got to take that out. And I was like scared, you know. I was like, at that time, still like, I don't want you to cut my face. And he was like, no, we can do a precision. We usually can pull your eye out so far. We work around it, put you out. It's like, okay. We made the date. That happened. I still have it to this day, the little jar with the BB, plastic jar with my x-ray. And that's what I took when I went to Empathetics to get my stuff for the first time. Yeah, that was the moment where my life changed, because from there, ever since that surgery, from waking up, they did great. They did a great job, got it out. They were recording it, but I didn't want to watch it because I have like weak stomach, so I can't watch stuff like that. And so I didn't want the video. But I took the BB and the x-rays.
Right. Well, I mean, you got to
How
have
long
something.
ago was it? When was
05. This was, so yeah, to answer your question, get back to where you started.
Yeah.
This was in 05 this happened.
So
05.
16 years ago.
Yeah, about 16 years-ish ago. And I was put on steroids and cortisone shots because I used to have migraine. Ever since that shot, I've had these horrible spiked migraines and this pressure that builds up because on this left side of my face, when the BB hit, there's nerve damage. So it goes like down this along the side of my face. So I have like this outside nerve pain of like, almost like if you could imagine like the tip of a knife, but like 1,000 of them throughout that area. And then on the inside, it triggers like the migraines and the headaches. So it's like between the two of them, it's almost like unbearable, you know?
So what were you using for pain then? Like
At that time, they were putting me on opioids, like pain pill. Like I was taking the lower prescription because I was starting off with over-the-counter ibuprofen. It wasn't cutting it. From there, the doctor upped me on some low-dose lower tab, and the pain was still throbbing, and I couldn't. It was just gradually going, and the dosage was increasing. The opioid amount was getting more. I don't know if you'd call it more potent.
They just have to. You build up tolerance,
And it
you
was
gotta
like over,
increase your
for
use.
me, it wasn't till the end of high school, my senior year, that after doing the pills for almost a year, and like it would affect my digestive system. I wasn't able to like use the restroom like I normally would. You know, it would affect my appetite. I just was like,
were you bedridden?
yeah,
Or-
absolutely.
so
Like
you
I
were
was like
bedridden.
numb. Like I would like turn myself off. Like
Yeah.
almost feel like scratchy when I'm taking my medicine. Like just not myself. I was like, this is not me. I just didn't like who I was becoming. Like over that year.
And what people don't understand is like you walk in here, you look there is no physical sign that you have this, you know, that you've had this injury or that you've had this opioid prescriptions. Like it's not visible. And people forget that, you know?
Yeah. And it wasn't until, like, you know, like I said, like the tolerance builds, and eventually it doesn't stop the pain, you know? Because I get this building pressure where it's almost like a hot iron mixed with, like, a sledgehammer getting, like, whacked against your head is when the migraines trigger. Mm-hmm. And then obviously, like, I can tolerate, like, the knife pain more than that, like, on the outside. But so it wasn't until after the shots and, you know, the pills that a friend of mine growing up with, one of my best friends actually, he had knee pain for playing football, and he always used to use cannabis and smoke, you know, weed back then, we call it.
Yeah.
Or bud, whatever. And it wasn't until then we were hanging out, and he's like, you know what, man? And I was having, like, an episode, and I didn't have my pills with me. And he's like, look, try this, dude. Like, you know, and at the time, you know, I already was almost done with school. I was thinking, you know, what the hell, dude? You know, I don't have my medicine. It seems to help. You know, he's my friend. He's not going to steer me the wrong way because we grew up together. He's like my best friend. Mm-hmm. And he had, like, some kind of OG or some, I can't remember, it was a Kush. And that was my first introduction to, like, real cannabis, like, full inhalation. And I remember hitting that flower, and it was just like just relief. Like, if you could imagine, like, things felt tight and gritty, and it was just like things just softened and laxed. Just that pain, like that pressure built up, and that iron hot, like, just faded.
So when he let you use cannabis, were you familiar with the term medical cannabis at
Not
all?
at all.
You were just used to it kind of as a recreational thing,
Right,
kind
100% DARE program, like, just say no,
but
like,
you never,
this is evil weed.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
You hadn't done any research on it or anything. You
other
were just,
than, like, growing up and what the school taught us,
no, you're just introduced
that's so I'm
to
maybe
it.
like a little ignorant in that aspect, I guess I could say.
Yeah, but that, I mean, that's...
But I just thought they were teaching us the right thing because it was school. I don't know.
You probably haven't had a ton of opportunity to talk about your story, I would imagine.
No.
So
It's been secret.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's in.
This is honestly like the first time I'm really opening up.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Well,
you
and
know.
we appreciate that. And I think vocalizing the story to yourself sometimes really makes a big impact on how you're hearing your own story out loud, and you're like, oh my God, this is real.
You said you got your card like a year ago?
Yeah, so it was towards the end of last year. I finally was able to be legal, like visiting empathetics and doing research. And actually what got me to it was your Utah in the org. You're following your IG handle, like...
Oh, yeah, UtahMarijuana.org,
You know, like I've started hearing your podcast, and I started to tie two and two, and I was like, okay, yeah, I started learning more, like, from these people, like I was talking about with Zach and Mario going way back. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I need to do research. I'm paying for insurance. Like, what am I doing? Like, but I guess I don't cover insurance. Don't cover it anyway.
Yeah.
So,
right.
You know, and I figured, you know, dealing with what I have the medical records I have from my incident to the surgery to the post surgeries to the script of the papers that they have me trying out, like the A's, B's, and C's that don't work, like.
Yeah, you had enough documentation to pain. I mean, that was
absolutely.
And so, and I get it, like, you can't physically see it, but mine's like on internal, you know.
Yep.
But.
So are you off of all opioids?
Yeah,
right
absolutely.
Now,
it was then, like, from that moment that I tried that Kush, whatever it was. I think it was like an OG. I can't remember, Skywalker, whatever it was. I remember him saying OG Kush. It was like love at first sight. Like, it was like all the relief without the icky side effects that I get from, like, the pharmaceutical.
Right. Instead of feeling worse, you felt better.
Yeah, I felt better.
Right.
And I didn't have, like I said, that throbbing and the iron sensation from my chronic headaches. And I also, this is before my accident, but I've had chronic insomnia, like, ever since I've been little. It's just the way it is.
That's something we all suffer with.
You got the magic pill.
Yeah.
Right?
So, yeah, like, it just seemed to solve so many things that these pills can't really do, you know, in the long run. And it seemed like those not just harm you, but they kill you. And so I figured this is like, I started to do more research and look into the plant more, and, like, there's still way more I need to learn, but, you know, figure out THC and CBD and all these other ones, like, CBC and CBG and CBN and THCV and THCA and all this. It keeps going. Like, the list goes and goes. But, there's so many medicinal benefits that were, like, so eye-opening. I was just in shock. Like, I was like, wow, this is like what the government's been repressing us all this time. Like,
it does seem like that, doesn't it?
They're keeping us from this, like, natural alternative medicine.
Yeah.
Like,
when you try it in 2005 and then you start using it, and basically your options are smoke flower, right?
Well, yeah, at the time, basically, I had a friend that his cousin basically had what we would call the plug, the connect. And yeah, I had flower. I mean, at that time, we had great different varieties, great strains, big, beautiful buds. I think they were coming from like California or Oregon. I can't remember at the time, but yeah, like we had, whether it was you wanted flower. Dabs weren't as big back then. It was mostly just flower. And then a little bit later on, maybe 5-10 years as down the line is when carts maybe started to pop up.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like
those
I never
weren't,
saw a cart until 2015.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I ever saw a cart.
Like, it was weird.
Get out of here! I just thought it was
because
all I knew was you
what the
flour
heck?
in a little glass pipe.
In a glass pipe.
That's what I that's what I knew.
And then it was either a glass pipe or what you could make.
Then you saw carts and you're like, get out of here! Now they're the hot thing. Now everybody's got carts.
Yeah. So honestly, just between that and obviously as time rolled on and I've been working, like I said, it's a steady job. I'm fortunate that I've had a consistent living, 15 now plus years. And
you believe cannabis helped you?
Absolutely. Like, cannabis saved my life.
It helped make you a functioning member of society.
It's given me back things I wouldn't ever have, that the pills, like, give you bedridden. They turn you off from life. Like, you're numb. Where cannabis, like, it almost, like, puts life in me. Like, I'm able to work longer, better, more efficient. I can be around my family more often and not hurt. Like,
and when you mentioned insomnia,
and I can sleep.
There's nothing worse than getting up the next day and not sleep. You're like, oh man, I got an hour of sleep. Now I'm expected to go to work and be, nice to my fellow employees.
Nice, cordial, obey the rules.
Yeah,
and now you have. It's not really just the pain relief. It's the added benefit of now you sleep better, so you actually have less pain because you sleep better and you can recover better.
Yes, I get a better night's sleep between it being able to combat my insomnia and the pain. Like, I'm forever grateful for this plant.
Tell me about your tolerance. Your tolerance at the beginning obviously pretty low, right? Everybody starts out pretty low.
For sure.
How long, like, what's your use looked like? Has it gone up and down? Has it just always kind of
It's been a roller coaster,
up?
really. Like, honestly, there's some times that I've done tolerance breaks even, believe it or not. Like, as much as you think I'm, like, consuming, like, there's times,
I mean, I think the reason I ask is because I don't know your use.
No, right. Just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm assuming that it's going to go up sometimes.
It is.
Go down
Definitely.
Sometimes.
The more I find, the more I use. Like, for me, for example, I like to start my day with dabs. Like, I don't know what it is, but from waking up and, like, having sore joints and my, your muscles, like, it helps get things a little bit loosened and laxed. And so I get my dab in me, because I'm working on the office, so I work a lot of the keyboard, the mouse. I take my balm. I always rub my balm on. That's really effective. Helps, like, my wrists and my right shoulder. And I'm able to go. Like, between my good dab and if I don't have a dab, then definitely flower. That's what I'm resorting to. And then gummies, like, you got to be careful because sometimes I overdo it and it could be, like, too much at once and you're done. Like, I'm sorry, but you might have to clock out for the day. Like,
we always recommend that people start without edibles.
Low and slow for sure. I agree.
Don't start with edibles. They're hard to adjust to.
It is.
I know it's easy.
They creep up on you.
They creep up on you, and then you get 2 hours in, and you're like, "Wow, if this gets any worse, I'm in trouble." Well, you might be an hour in, and you might be thinking, "Oh, if this gets any worse,
yeah, exactly."
Like you said, I've got to clock out.
Exactly.
But they're so convenient because they're very discreet. There's no
absolutely.
They're relatively healthy from a use standpoint and a side effect standpoint, but they're a little tricky. And
They
there's
are.
been a ton of, man, have you seen, like, it seems like the feeds are all about these drinks and these added things you're adding to the adding to a drink.
Oh, for like THC, you mean?
Yeah, THC.
Yeah,
Like-
I've seen that. I think, is it Select that has those new drops? I think I was
Yeah,
actually
you add them
looking
to
at.
it is, and Curaleaf owns that company. They're not available in Utah, so for any listeners,
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, I haven't seen these.
You
Tell
cannot
me.
you can't have drinks in Utah, and you can't technically have edibles in Utah. You can have gelatinous cubes,
That's the gummies we get.
which is the gummies you
Okay.
get. Which, as of April 1st, you cannot. They won't be coated in sugar.
Wait, tell me more about this, because I think we talked about that on a
Yeah, we
recent
talked a little
episode.
bit to Rich
So how's that
Elborn
going to
about
work
this.
with all these sugar-coated ones? Like,
Why can't they have
But it's
sugar
not.
in it?
I don't think it's the Department of Health's. Like, it wasn't their rule. I
Okay.
think it was the Department of Agriculture. But because you can have gelatinous cubes, but you can't have edibles. My understanding is the sugar coating makes them more candy-like, and so
more
it's
tractable to,
more
like,
attractive to kids.
Yeah,
and,
the youth.
yeah, more tasty. So they're gonna essentially individually wrap every single gelatinous cube
Oh my
to
God.
keep them from sticking together.
I
Because
think there's a lot
they
more
only
things
use
to
it.
worry about, like the candy aisle at a
one glob.
grocery store, or
Right, the
or,
sugar
you know what I mean? Like,
consumption
let's-
of
come on,
American
let's,
children.
Get real.
Yeah, like to me that there's a lot more to worry about than
Right.
if my gelatinous
We
cube has some
probably
sugar on
should.
it.
Maybe we should just educate people to buy a locking case.
Yeah.
Put their medicine into the locked cabinet and keep it safe. Right. Like,
Oh, there
that
you
would
go.
probably be just as effective.
Yeah, no, it's
You know, we like to hound those guys on like little things like this, and I'm sure they think the same thing. They're like, I don't know, but you know, it probably seems like the right thing to do to adjust the rules.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, we got off topic.
No,
that's
you're
that's a
fine.
joy
But
of a podcast.
But the use, right? So have you gotten up to a point where you've been using like an ounce a week or an ounce a month?
No, but what I do is I like to mix it up. So I used to, before becoming legal, I used to really just stick one way. I'd use heavy flour. Maybe sometimes I'd switch it to dabs. I kind of flip-flop, to be honest. And then once becoming legal and now having these options, and like I experiment. So I like to branch out. Like I did start here at Wholesome. That's where I brought my letter because I was down off Dover Street off Empathetic. So it was like 7-10
Yeah.
minutes away. So I was married. I didn't realize I was married to Wholesome, until
Yeah,
I got
at
my
the
car.
time.
At the time.
Right?
So it's the farthest from me because I'm all the way in
Oh,
West
shoot.
Valley. Yeah,
because you had a
Kearns.
letter.
Yeah, because I had a letter.
Yeah.
But I immediately had already paid the fee before walking out of Empathetics. I did the online fee. So it was already pending to
Mm-hmm.
convert.
I see.
But it still took like 10, I can't remember how long it was, but it was just like a little bit less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah,
felt
there-
forever.
Yeah, and it does, and they're going to be, so that everybody knows, they are going to upgrade the system, and they passed a rule to allow us to give
wow.
cards immediately. Won't be effective till later this year, October, November.
Oh, nice.
But then you'll go back to this system where you can leave your QMP, you can go right over, like here, we're right next to Wholesome recording, and you
Yeah.
can leave here, and you can walk right through the door, check in, and boom, purchase, just like the letter program.
That's,
So
that's something to
now
look
with
forward to.
with access though, you can kind of you
Yeah.
can switch it up. You can
Well,
buy a little. You don't have to buy a ton.
It kind of like opened the floodgates, if you will. Like, and not like that, but, it really introduced a whole new realm of like products and varieties that I didn't have that opportunity before. And so I trial and error. I'm like that trial and error guy, I first try it. If it works, then I will stick behind it. If it don't, then axe off the list.
Do you have a favorite strain?
Definitely. Like
Or
overall,
something you've been
or
enjoying
here.
lately? I don't
Over-
know. Yeah,
both.
overall.
Well, overall, I'm a huge OG fan.
Okay.
Obviously, yeah, like anything really OG, Skywalker OG from Perfect Earth, it seems to really kick me good, like hit me where I need to be. So,
I
anything,
haven't been up to Perfect Earth yet.
yeah.
No, I mean we need those guys to come on the podcast, but they're growing some pretty good product up there too, right?
It does. I've been keeping my
that's-
eyes on them.
Yep,
They have a pretty interesting, beautiful looking grow, so we'll see what they produce.
yep. So you follow pretty much all the growers and
Yeah.
you know when the drops are happening.
We'll try
So
to.
essentially, we could just follow you, and we would know. You'd be like
I wish.
the kayak, right? Of of the cannabis industry?
It's just
You'll
not-
keep track of it all for us, and you'll let us know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind at all helping. I mean, honestly, ever since this, not just this podcast, but, with the whole program we have and the IG, like, I get DMs daily, like, to this day, like, people I don't know. And they ask me, like, hey, how was that? Or, hey, what was this? Or, because I've certain things that I have tried or, let people know about. Things that may have worked for me and that didn't work for me.
That's right, because
And
on
so-
your Instagram, you post all the stuff you're getting.
I have had most of them that are definitely ones that work for me, and then I think there might have been very, very few that I've let known didn't cut it, basically.
Yeah.
But majority of them, yes, they're winners. For
Nice.
me, anyway.
So what about your family and friends, man? What do they think about your cannabis use?
They think it's probably the best thing that happened to me, from the ones, at least the closest ones that see me at my darkest time back then. They fully support what I'm doing and what's going on in Utah as far as progressing towards, hopefully, legalizations. Because everyone should have the right to enjoy this God-given plant. Like, no one should be deprived of this. Like, we're all dealing with something in some form or fashion.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, who said that? One of the pharmacists, I think, that we talked to said that. We chatted with, and they were like, we all kind of use it medicinally, even if we're not.
Right.
All use is
'cause
medicinal.
because you're kind of using it for a reason.
Yeah, people that, if you interview cannabis users, I mean, you're using it for all kinds of things,
Yep.
right? You're using it for the Saturday afternoon, creative jam session. You're using it when you paint. You're using it to sleep, to suppress dreams. If you have PTSD, think of all the things. And this is all just something, that somebody who has access to it would just use it for. Almost instinctive. It's almost like an instinct.
Yep. Exactly.
Right?
No, it is. Absolutely. And so
You reach for something that helps you feel better, and if it didn't work, then
you move on. I mean,
you move on.
Absolutely. Yep. That's just the way it works. That's the rules of logic. So, or nature of the law, however you want to say it, or put it. I'm grateful for the, not just the platform, but seeing how far Utah has come, like, has made me at least happy. Like, I know there's a lot of people that aren't happy, and I get also DMs of that too. So don't get it like it's all sunshine. Don't get it
Do people
twisted.
DM you hate? Like,
Oh, yeah, they're-
showing
absolutely.
hate and stuff. Like what kind of stuff do they like? They think cannabis should be illegal.
I've been
and
told
stuff?
I'm getting bamboozled. You're getting, like, ripped off. Like,
Okay.
So it all comes down
I
to
didn't
the
know
price.
if they were like
That's
saying
what
like
that-
It all honestly comes down to not just the price, but I also understand and I can express their frustrations in a sense that I do think we need more cultivators. Like, 8 ain't enough. Like, it's just not enough for our state. And seeing, like, the new magazine, which is awesome, by the way, by Cole. Shout out
Yeah.
to Cole.
Faces, yeah. pick that
Awesome
up,
Salt Lake
pick that
City
up.
magazine. Beautiful layout of them, showing all the pharmacies, labeling them, addresses, numbers. But it's not enough. Like, what about all those rural areas? Like, what about them? Like,
Yeah.
It really is. Like, I've been thinking about, like, Justice in St. George, right? They're going to open in a couple of months.
Yeah, I heard that.
And
420 maybe.
There's gonna be one. Oh, if they make it to, they get a lot of work to do. Shout out to those guys though. They could pull it off. But they're the only place. You've got to buy it there. You got to go up to Bloom and Cedar City,
Yep.
who will open about the same time.
Okay.
I mean, these are. You wouldn't. There isn't another industry that you would have that limited.
No,
Well,
not
St.
at all.
George is just full of
Option.
old people, so I would imagine they're all going to get their cars.
You would
Definitely.
think, right?
So
like,
they're gonna be-
as the more it gets legitimized, the better it will be. And I think.
That's my hope. That's my hope.
right,
And that's what I get knocked down on all the time too, is because, like,
Really?
my optimism, and they're like, well, you need to put more pressure on so and so, and I get that. You do need to do your part, but what you can do, easy things like send emails, make phone calls. Like, we all could do that.
Sure, and you're not going to get it all the way.
No,
like
you're never going
one
to get
fell
your
swoop.
cake and eat it too. Right. It's all in good time. That's my optimism, is, in good time. Like, look, I didn't even think Utah would be legal. Like, I could be doing this right now, like 2020. I never thought this would happen. Like, even thinking back when I visited all of our neighboring states, Cali, Colorado, that's my favorite, best prices, Oregon, New Mexico, Arizona. I've been all over, just around us, and everyone's got their own nice, sweet pieces of the pie. But like Utah's done something uncovering these extra cannabinoids. Like we could really do something here and like changing, I think, the whole market, like as far as the medical industry.
Have you been watching that? Like,
absolutely.
That other, compared to other states that are surrounding us, and this is something I guess I haven't paid a lot of attention to, are other states focusing on the medicinal qualities of the other cannabinoids?
No, it's just Utah.
Colorado's more of a rec state.
Correct.
So
they're just saying just sell THC.
Just
sell THC.
Between you, like I love your and Blake's show. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm on that on it like Bonnet. Like honestly, I can't get enough of it.
That's a great show, by the way.
It's amazing.
Thanks. It's really fun to produce, and we feel like it's getting a little bit better as we go. And for those, for listeners who don't know what it is, it's Discover Marijuana on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's Blake Smith from Zion Medicinal, who is a bioanalytical chemist, knows a lot about
like
the
a cool
details,
guy.
right? He's like the mad scientist, and I'm trying to make sense of it all, bring it back to like
You're awesome.
usable info. But it's a fun place for people to go get more info, like legitimate. We talk about the good and the bad.
Right. And that's what I like, is you guys do like to at least bring the truth to what's happening, not just with the plant, but, other shine light, like with, the laws and stuff, and making sure we're in the knows and the nows and being safe and things like that.
Right.
Because Utah's a little different than other medical states, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Way different, shall I say.
But you know what, though? The more I learn about a lot of these other states, I find out that there's some other states with goofy stuff, too.
I know we were talking about Florida, and we were talking about how they were trying to limit the percentage of THC to 10%.
I just heard about that. I was like, get out of
crazy.
here.
And in Georgia, the law that they're working on now will allow people to buy 2 weeks' worth of flower. That's it. You can buy a 2-week supply. And then you have to purchase a lot, which is hard for people who live far away from a pharmacy.
Yeah.
Who decides what's 2 weeks supply?
Right.
Though? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So back to, you were mentioning how we need more than 8 growers in Utah.
Yes.
Did you run into like any, especially, I mean, you're a pretty heavy user of cannabis, or use it pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Did you run into any problems with supply? Because, I mean, I still run into problems with supply.
Yeah, I do every day.
Yeah,
every day I do.
Every day
to this day, I run into problems with supply. Like, sometimes I'll try a certain flower that I really finds that meshes well with me, and then they won't have it some days.
Yeah.
And,
ever again.
Or ever again, for that matter. Oh, find us on the next batch 3 whatever months from now or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, I'm more on concentrates. Like, that's my thing, as I love my concentrates. And, like, I'm grateful with what we have now, but it just seems like we need so much more. There just needs to be so much.
Yeah, and you need a lot more product to make more concentrates.
And that's what the cult, limiting the cult, it's just all tying hand in hand, where it's like,
obviously it's gotten better, right? As the cultivators have started growing a little bit more, the supply has gotten better.
It has, but like, you're choking the chicken where you got to feed the geese kind of thing. Well, excuse my language, but
no, you're good.
But you're,
like, I just wish there was more. I think would allow them to focus on longer grows than turning over these 60-day grows, which I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with. Like, they've helped me, but there could be getting so much more from the plant, maturing more, than these kind of speed cycle kind of things, which still work. And I'm not knocking that.
Yeah, but they're doing that because they feel like they have to.
Right, you're kind of pinning them in a corner, right? And I get their aspect too. Like, you're kind of.
Like speed growing the weed?
Right.
Yeah,
or picking certain strains or genetics.
Now, educate me. Is that not good to speed grow
Well, you're
or,
growing. It depends, right? You're growing a cultivar that is going to be able to harvest fast because it's going to be harvest fast. Does that make sense? You're growing a cultivar that you can harvest fast because of the quickness with which you can harvest it. That's the only reason you're picking that strain.
Or what's going to yield the most.
Or yield. And in the long run, that doesn't work because that isn't necessarily the best medicine.
Or the best thing for the patient.
Right. It's just the best thing for, like, getting flour into the pharmacies right now. And to your point, Carlos, the idea of more growers isn't necessarily that we will have less profits. And I think the industry looks at it that way, right? The eight growers, they want to protect their investment.
Right.
And they don't want any more growers. They just want to grow their own.
Right. Almost.
And on the one hand, you want them to build out their whole facilities and be at full production before you make that decision. On the other hand,
but then they're going to have so much of a head start on the other guys that are just trying to build up as they are now too. So like, why not give everyone a shot all at the same time and as things progress?
And you would think that if these guys are growing and there's 25,000 patients, as we approach 75,000 Utah legal patients,
is that right now?
No.
Well, no,
But I'm just saying in the future, we have 25,000 legal patients now in Utah.
Even that's remarkable. Wow.
Yeah.
Wasn't it only like not even a third of that or a fourth of that, what they projected?
Yeah. And there's differing when we talk.
Don't ask Rich that.
Don't ask Rich that because he'll be like, well, we didn't
maybe
really project
half
or whatever. But I mean, I've heard 6,000.
Yeah.
They projected 6,000.
Oh
the first
gosh, that's
little while,
ridiculous.
And 16,000 the first year.
Okay.
And we're 10,000 more than that. I mean, I think we've done well, and the Department of Health likes that there's a lot of patients, and I think that's important for the whole program.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of patients. It's growing.
But if you can't supply them, what good is it?
True.
Yeah, so as we approach, right, they're doing 500 cards a week at the state.
Wow.
So they're increasing by a couple of thousand a month. If you extrapolate that out, like if we're short on supply now, we may continue to be short on supply.
Especially when that number just gets bigger, that's just going to, as we only have these 8 to work with, I see where you're going with this. Like, it don't look good. Is what almost what it makes.
Is it like
that's what I'm picking up here?
Yeah, that's the argument I'm making.
At least for patients and availability of the product.
Yeah, I don't know that that's the truth. I'm just bringing that up. It does seem like if you're short now, and granted these guys aren't totally up and running fully, but we're 25,000 patients now, and we're growing quickly.
Yeah, where are we going to be in 2020?
And it's only getting quicker because of the system.
And the system is getting better and better,
more efficient.
And as more and more people realize it's a legitimate medicine, that will only increase the size of the system faster.
Or people are still finding out it's even legal here in Utah.
People
the
come
weird
in
part.
every day to our clinic. Every single day. They're like, I just found out this was legal last week.
And you're like, where have you been? I was waiting for this day 10 years ago. You know what I mean? I've been counting this day.
That is so funny. You guys are ahead of the curve, honestly.
Yeah.
You are ahead of me. I'm on my card. I'm patient, 30,000 plus later. Where the heck was I? Should have been 300 or less. I should have been in now.
In the beginning.
A year sooner.
You should have known. You should have known.
That was a pretty cool day. I was actually at the Dragonfly opening, the first to do that first
with
day.
Mario.
Yeah,
Marijuano.
I mean, I didn't go in.
Oh, his episode too, I've heard.
I didn't go into the dispensary. I was just there to kind of when they did the ribbon cutting, but it was goosebumps, man, just because I was like, wow, we have this.
It would be intense.
Surreal.
Yeah.
They're going to do a big 420.
I can't imagine. They did the 1 year anniversary, which was huge. Like I just can't imagine what they got in store.
They're going to put up a big event, big announcements coming out of there.
That'll be exciting.
420. Yeah.
So what would you tell, this is a question I ask quite a few patients that come on here, Carlos, is like, what would you tell somebody, like, I would imagine people are listening that are still on the fence about trying medical cannabis, medical marijuana.
Sure.
What would you give them any advice or suggestions or words of assurance, like, just to put their mind at ease that, hey, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, don't be afraid, like it's a natural alternative medicine that with its endocannabinoid system that I've been learning about, and our bodies that naturally have a cannabinoid system, like we're just like a perfect mesh, we're like made for each other in a sense. And I don't want to get off a sauce or into that, but like it's just a so much better alternative, like just to take that leap, like for me, I waited a year and I went through pain and I went through suffering and I went through things that I shouldn't have, longer than I shouldn't have. Should I have been of lack of knowledge or education about this plant, and it would have avoided all that suffering and all that time that I spent bedridden and unmotivated and away from my family,
Yeah, you're like, give me my life back. I want my life back.
And I don't, and I don't want to make it seem like it's the unicorn of all things, because for some people it don't work either. But, for the vast majority of us, it works. And, the proof is in the pudding. Like, numbers don't lie.
People should take advantage of the education.
Yeah, that's
you
the biggest
can find
gap.
online.
Yeah,
There's so much
The
or disconnect.
information
Yeah.
that you can find now online, and with friends, and with things like this podcast, and
right.
like take advantage of what you didn't have in 2005.
Yeah,
And what we now
At our
are
dispose.
building, right? This
With
intro
technology.
into the legitimacy of something that may help you.
Oh, I think it will. I mean, this is not just for myself. I can personally speak, but I've seen this help from family members, from my grandma, from my aunt, from my sister. Like, I've seen this.
Oh, so it's helped out family members too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent,
It's not just me. Like, this is like, I think this is better than reaching for that medicine cabinet and grabbing the aspirin and grabbing the ibuprofen and grabbing the pain pill or grabbing the, you know what I mean? Whatever it is that's a pharmaceutical. And I'm not saying all pharmaceuticals are bad, because they have their purpose in their own way, but this plant, like cannabis, is just a lifesaver in my eyes. Like, it's drastically changed my life for the better, that I don't know, I can't be grateful enough. Like, I'd be dead if it wasn't for cannabis.
Dude, I'm glad we got you on the show. I'm glad. Thank you for coming and recording with us.
Yeah.
It's definitely our pleasure.
No, you're welcome, man. I appreciate you guys. Like, I learned a lot from your podcast, and like you were saying, Utah. I'm probably saying it wrong, but the Utah Marijuana and the org.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. Like, very knowledgeable, educational, and it really gives me something to look forward to. Like, every week, I'm always like stoked to like tune in. Like, hey, what's Tim and Blake? And, what are we gonna learn today?
What are
and,
we gonna listen to on the podcast?
You know, hey, what's
What do
gonna
we
be
got
on
YouTube?
Chris's podcast this time? Who's gonna be the guest? Like, is it the hemp guy, or is it the pharmacy guy, or the High Times magazine CEO lady, or Mario back here working and doing his thing? It's just coming from so many different parts of the world and dynamics. This is been exciting for me to be a part of, and that's what I like. Like, we tear each other down so much. Like, we need to lift each other up more often. Mm-hmm. And I think being in the cannabis community is part of that. Lifting one another up, not being in the negative and just focusing on the bad. But at the same time, we don't want to be ignorant. Like, we want to try and make change for the better. And so that's why I was just getting on the whole limited cultivator thing.
Right.
Because I wish that was like double.
Yeah. Well, it'll get there. Sure. And I mean, Rich was even saying, like, let's see what happens. Get all these up and going, everything up and going.
Right.
Get all the shops up and going, all the growers up and going.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid it'll be kind of like the construction, I-15 construction, right? Like, I felt like they didn't, like, attack it soon enough. So it was just, we grew too fast to, it was always construction.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, why not just make enough dispensaries or pharmacies open now for the projected growth is what I see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I mean, I think you're right. Like, I mean, us Utahns, I think
we like to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I know we're a conservative state. Obviously, we get that rap all the time. Like, Salt Lake City, I think, is going to show that we are willing to change for the better and wanting this medicine that's just going to make us feel better and heal. Like, that's going to ripple throughout the state, but it just seems like everything's so focused in on us.
Yeah.
Like
right.
the county and, everyone deserves to feel good, like no one should be put in that position to have to choose, do I need to take this pain pill or do I need to like be dying for like the next hours, like.
No.
Right.
So with cannabis, you don't have to worry about that. Like, I've been able to take such a variety of like, I mean, I'm sure obviously, I don't know if you've seen my IG, but they have those FSO pills. Those are freaking awesome. Those help my insomnia better than anything.
The RSO pills?
The green ones, the extra strength.
The dose.
The dose.
Yeah, dose. Okay.
Those will dose you up for sure. Like,
to try those, yeah.
Yeah, like the extra strength. Those, because like I said, I've done trial and error. Those were great. The strawberry orange ones is like the next best go-to for me. They're 500 milligram ones, the 50 milligram each per gummy.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Those ones also, those help my migraines and my insomnia. Those will help me go right out and sleep through the night. That's the key, is like I just weren't able to sleep all the times through the night. I wake up, toss and turning.
Yeah.
hours, you know, maybe sleep an hour, wake up an hour kind of thing. But those will actually let me like rest all the way like a normal like 6 to 8, but sometimes longer if I'm like really feeling like woozy and I want to like live it up, you know, for a little while.
Live it up. You know, living on the edge, getting a couple extra hours of sleep.
You know, but you know, between and it's like you said, discreet, low key medicating. Like I don't have to smell like flower. Like if I need to be somewhere where I, you know, we still live in a state.
Well, you want to be a professional, you know.
Right. And there's a stigma, unfortunately, with this plant still. It's just the way it is. Like. And hopefully in time, I think that'll change. But yeah, you don't want to be walking around. Sometimes when you're around corporate execs, smell like flower. Like I'll tell you that, like cannabis flower. But you know, that's where I'm able to take those FS full spectrum, extra dose cannabis capsules. Or I have recently experimented with the RSO ones. As a matter of fact,
the RSO capsules.
Yeah,
I saw those. I was wondering how those were.
Because I was supposed to take my dose, but I didn't. But yeah, these I don't know if it's okay or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's these ones. These ones work good too, but I don't know if you want to check them out.
Yeah, here. I mean, I've seen pictures. I haven't seen the actual.
No, I haven't seen the bottle itself.
They honestly, the green ones are better. I'll be honest. They're more effective. These ones are a little bit more of a light punch for me, but that's good because sometimes I don't always need that heavy hitting one that's going to put me out for the night. I need that one that's a little bit more mild, but still takes what I need away, that pain, and let me function, like be able to. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Just
but being able to like function, you know, and think straight. You know? So I love those capsules. The gummies, like you said, I've done a lot of trial and error there. I'm not a fan of like the 100 milligram trike ones. I tried them. I tried all 10. There was nothing that happened.
All 10 at one time? Mm-hmm. Wow, it didn't do anything for you?
Nothing at all. I tried the trike. It was the apple indica THC ones. And so I was like, yeah, no, I'm not getting this again. But hopefully they come out with another, like, more potent one.
That's what I'm excited for, is as 2021 and going to 2022 is to see the products that are coming out.
Oh, yeah. Like, even a year ago, like, if you've been a patient, right, going back a year, I'm sure, like, the whole menu's, like, night and day going back this time of year.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I remember going into Dragonfly, and there was like 4 options. And then there was 3.
Right.
And then you could buy tincture. And that was pretty much all you could buy.
And that's actually, I was going to cover that with you, because tinctures is one thing I've tried that, at least for what I deal with specifically, it's the perfect dosing. Like you said, you can precision dosing, but I don't get that bang for my buck that I need, because I need that stronger.
Yes. So for somebody like you,
right,
you need 1,000 milligram. Need 1,000 milligrams of THC in one vial, and now you're buying 250 milligrams THC in one vial,
right? And
it's just a matter of time until that product comes.
And I'm sure, right?
Really, what you need is a nano-emulsified THC oil that has 1,000 milligrams in that one 30 ml bottle.
Right. Okay.
And that's going to absorb faster. It's going to be more potent, and it's going to be affordable. Like something like that would be affordable, right? For somebody with a relatively high tolerance.
Yeah, I mean at that point, but it's just with where it's at now, it doesn't seem like it with the tinctures and the prices and where the dosage. Not. Like it's just like I said, I don't just get that. But like you said, in due time,
this is a real balance for the marketplace, because most users are going to be on the low end of tolerance, where 5 or 10 milligrams of THC is going to be plenty.
Yeah.
And for somebody who needs 50, 60, 70 milligrams at a dose, the cost per milligram of THC comes into play.
Yeah. So you're not on the same playing field, really.
So really, let's say 80% of the patients in Utah need that low dose. Yeah. So most of the products
it's going to be tailored towards them.
Yep. All the products you see are more tailored toward that intro medical user. And that's why your concentrates need to come. They're for people who have a higher tolerance and people who have more serious conditions too. They're necessary. There's just fewer patients in that space.
Which I appreciate you explaining it like that, because that does help put it in perspective for me. That like paints the picture for me.
Yeah.
I think like I'm excited, like as we go, fast forward the clock 5 years down the road to see, like, because we're big on pharmaceuticals in general at Utah. Like, we're known for pain pills and opioids. It's not a good thing.
No, we're getting on the bandwagon though with alternative medicine. We're one of the biggest states for essential oils too, right? Right. So you could see that the state could get on board.
Right.
It could be really.
I'm actually surprised how many people are on board, though. I saw on Facebook about a week ago. I'm in this like Utah County Facebook group, and they were complaining about this Springville dispensary opening up. People.
Oh wow.
Oh really?
Well, there was a couple people, but then all these people just like saying how great it was, and I was like, well, this is great for Utah. A couple of like moms, getting all, this is going to bring down our home value. That's what they were concerned about, bringing down their home value
with the community.
Because, they're like, oh, is this
it's going to ruin our kids,
and blah blah blah. But I was actually surprised on how many. There's a lot of people in this state that are actually on board
and willing to be vocal
with cannabis because of the creams in the closet, and stuff like that. I think it's because the way we've approached it.
Yeah.
With vape only, no flame. So we've taken away all that trashy cannabis look, right? Like, because that's how most people just look at the joint and you see that little guy,
That's the stigma, is the bong, the dude with the dreads, the reggae.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I love all that too, right? But that's not all there is to the medicine.
No, not at all.
And and like I was saying earlier, I think when you're introducing this to a population that is mostly conservative, if you can do it in the right way, then you can get buy-in. And we can create a better program in the end.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to live with the bumps.
Yeah. I mean, that's just life, right? You got to take the good with the bad. And that's where I'm trying to stay optimistic, just hang in there. We never thought we'd even be 35th or whatever it was, medical. So, you know what? God bless me, let's just keep on riding. We got to just do it. Take the nitty gritty with it. So that's.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that's why I was excited about the 5 years from now to see our case study with. I'm hoping to see, excited to see where the opioid drop is and not just the drop, but the deaths. There's people dying out here now because of this thing.
Hundreds still.
It's not a joke, It's think more than traffic accidents almost.
I don't know the comparison, but I think there were 463 opioid deaths in 2018 was the latest number.
Yeah, that's awful.
In Utah.
It's
a lot.
It's one too many.
Can listeners, how can they connect with you? What's your Instagram again?
Yeah, it's just my name. It's Carlos Lopez. But
any spaces or anything?
I have underscores, so it's a little complicated. It's C_A_R_L_O_S_ and then Lopez, LOPEZ. So I know
is
that's
it Lopez underscore?
No, it's one solid LOPEZ.
Okay.
So just Carlos is our underscore.
And if you're looking for Carlos, you can go to UtahMarijuana.org, Instagram, and just look to the comments. You'll find him.
Yeah.
That's probably the easiest way to find him.
No, but I love it. I love how active you are on there, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
It's important for us to keep people engaged, and we really appreciate it. We really do.
Well, thank you guys. That means a lot because I love you guys. Honestly,
Thanks,
watching
man.
your show, this is the beauty of cannabis. I never would have reached these relationships of even being able to sit here and do this. I'm just that's what I'm saying. I'm very grateful for this medicine and
we're grateful
our program and you guys, the platform. This is amazing. And you make it seem like you said, it's legitimized and it's respectable. You guys are professional about what you do and the way you go about it and the way you educate patients and keep us knowledge and in the now of the laws. I love it. I can't get enough of it. I just want to learn more, and I appreciate you guys. Really, it means a lot to me. So thank you.
Perfect place to end the show, I think.
Absolutely.
Thank you again for coming and recording with us. I can't urge people enough to go follow you on Instagram. connect with you. Send you a message. Send Carlos a message. Say, hey, I heard you on I Am Salt Lake. Or not I Am Salt Lake. That's my, say, I heard you on Utah in the Weeds. That's my other podcast, I Am Salt Lake.
Yeah.
I forget.
Listen to that. Listen to that podcast too. You've been doing that one a long time. 8.5 years now.
Something like that, yeah.
I need to get on that one more. I'll be honest with you. I haven't as much.
Well, that's how I met Tim. Though.
Yeah, when you're into the cannabis scene, you got a cannabis podcast here. When you're into the Salt Lake scene, in the Utah scene, you got I Am Salt Lake. We got it all covered right here. We're local. Chris is local.
I love it. No, I do.
Anything else you want to add, Tim?
Nope. This has been fun. Thanks, Carlos. I appreciate you coming on.
Go to utahmarijuana.org/podcast is where you can listen to all the previous podcasts. We should be in all the podcast apps. If we're not in a podcast app that you use, reach out to Tim or myself, and I will try my hardest to get us in there. Leave us a review in iTunes if you haven't. I'm trying to think what else there is to say. Any other? utahmarijuana.org is the hub.
It's the hub, and really it has the episodes as early as you can find them anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So, all right, guys, stay safe out there.